Hey y'all, we back with another reaction. I'm kind of behind with this case. Now, we've been talking about Take Care of Maya case. Now, today, Catherine Bedy, she took the stand today in the 200 million uh, dollar case against John Hopkins All Children Hospital. Okay, so Miss Betty right here was the social worker assigned to Maya's case after a judge ordered her to shelter at the hospital. See, the judge ordered her to shelter at the hospital in state custody while allegation of child, and we're gonna say CA were investigated. The judge ordered Maya not to have physical contact with her mother, beat up, but because they had a feeling that the mom was doing something to Maya, okay, mentally, and physically, who took her own life. That was the mom did, okay, after not seeing her daughter for 87 days. That really like messed her up. So, Betty, what happened with Catherine Betty, this lady right here, in the taking care of Maya? Before I show you the video. The battery allegation from the Kowalski family stemmed from Bedy and other holding Maya down for unwanted photos and unwanted comfort. Now, y'all remember the other day we had another young lady up on the stand was saying that they was holding her down and trying to take pictures, but the girl said that wasn't her in the video. That wasn't her holding her down. So Betty stated that Miss Catherine right here stated that she was often the person giving Maya bad news, including letting her know she would not be able to go home for Christmas. Wow, she a mean old lady. That was a really hard conversation, Betty testified. I went in and explained that to Maya, and Maya was so upset. She was crying. She was just devastated. And she was just sobbing. Okay. She asked if she could sit in my lap. And I said, sure. I hugged her. She cried for a good 10 minutes or so. She was mad and was saying all kinds of things about wanting to talk to the judge. What? So Betty added that she wanted to provide comfort and support to Maya, and that is the only reason why she had Maya sit on her lap. She wanted to, make her feel comfortable. She added that was also the only time she had Maya sit on her lap. She noticed that contrary of Maya testimony, she never took the child into the chapel by herself. But on cross-examination, Miss Catherine right here changed her statement and said she was in the chapel with Maya and her attorney, but she was never alone with Maya. She was always with someone. That's what the social worker said. So Miss Catherine Bedy also told the jury that she was practicing Roman Catholics. But well, I mean, they just like kind of testing Maya, and she would sometimes pray with Maya. She said she often saw Maya praying in her room in the mornings. Okay, Miss Catherine right here recalls the day when she had to take photos of Maya. Betty said she and the bedside nurse went into Maya's room, and risk management was aware that photos was going to be taken of Maya before she left the hospital for a court appearance. Betty stated that Maya was wearing a sports bra in a shorts for the photos. Remember, we showed that the other day. She said that the bedside nurse removed Maya's clothing. She said Maya was not happy that the photos was being taken. I don't understand why they had to do all that. But anyway, on cross-examination, Betty stated that she did not have permission from her parents to take that photo, but she did have permission from the Department of Children and Families, and Maya was in the state custody at the time. So the jury saw a video disposition from Ms. Catherine while the plaintiffs presented their case. She began her disposition by adding she was written up. They wrote her up, okay? by the hospital after yelling at co-workers after an attorney asked her if she has ever been disciplined at work. Mm, mm. So Miss Catherine right here, behavior was also a topic of discussion last week when Mark Anderson, who held several executive leadership position at the healthcare. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn y'all, the real deal is gonna turn y'all attention to the video so we can play catch up. We're behind, okay? I've been doing it now. So I'm going, let's catch up. Okay, there we go. Miss Catherine, you a mess, Anna. Something else.
Miss Bedy, do you recall for verbal consent? Sorry, let me read. Start again. Did you call DCF for verbal consent for these photos, or did you have a signed consent for these photos to be taken? Verbal consent. And will this be in the medical record for the jury to review? I think it's in my note, but I'd have to go back and look at my note. Did these photos ever become part of Maya's medical records? No. Who helped you with the second set of photos? The bedside nurse. Did you document in her chart the purpose of these photos or the date and time that you completed them? I'm not sure if I documented them in my chart because these were something that was outside of what we would usually document. Why would the hospital take a child's first name off the door? Isn't there many children with the first same name? So I don't know why they pulled all of the nameplates off there, but there are many children with the same first name. But I think usually it was the last name was involved too. So we wanted to make sure that nobody else was going to attempt to go in the room. If Maya is using profanity in the hospital, why is it not documented anywhere in her chart? So the best that I can tell you about that is a lot of times I had teenagers, I had young kids, I had kids from different backgrounds. A lot of times kids use profanity. Unless it was becoming an issue where it was very degradatory, we just gave the kids grace. If it became degradatory or it became that it was very abusive, then we discussed it with the kids and it would have been documented in the chart. We would discuss it with the parents, and it would have been documented in the chart. But it wasn't every day, and this was one time that I remember. I mean, she would get mad at all of us and say things like, she'd just say things like, you give the kid grace. It's a hard situation to be in. I don't want that to follow her forever. Medical professionals are allowed to put things in quotes, are they not? Yes. When you placed Maya on your lap, was there someone in the room to witness this interaction? There wasn't anyone in the room, but her door was open, and nurses and family members and things like that would walk by during the time that this was going on. So we were always within the sight of people. Who took the photos when Maya got back from work? I took those photos.
Ooh, she wrote her ass.
Was there a second person involved with you taking her return photos? Yes, the bedside nurse. Is that person's name documented? It would be documented because that person would have done a nursing assessment on her that day. Prior to October 2016, how much experience did you have with Munchausen's? That's a good question.
So through Suncoast Center, we had a couple of kids that were actually they were in foster care because of Munchausen. I had I think one or two cases before Maya got there, and then afterwards I had a couple of cases. So throughout the years, we don't usually, if you don't work in a pediatric intensive care unit or you're not working in child welfare, you may not see that many cases.
In reference to the code of ethics and you comforting the patient, boundaries, mental harm, you started to state, quote, depends. Is the jury to take this as the, quote, ethics, end quote, you were to abide to are, in your view, open to your personal interpretation?
So there are guidelines, and with guidelines, they're open to what the situation brings. And many times kids would come up to us for comfort. We might side hug them, we might hold their hand. There were many times that I would be with kids while their procedures were happening, and I would be using skills to help them relax during that time. And I might hold their hand, I might rub their head, I might rub their feet, depending on where they were in the situation. But you weren't doing anything that was invasive. And it certainly didn't happen every day.
During the time of Maya's stay, she testified about being in the hospital chapel. Today, you said that you were never in the All Children's Hospital chapel with Maya. Am I correct in what I heard you say?
So let me clarify. I was in the chapel with Maya and her attorney for a phone call that she did with the court, but Maya and I were never alone in the chapel.
If Maya was transported from her room to the chapel and then back to her room, would there not be, especially during this time, Maya was under a protective order, an entry in the logs of Maya's records of who transported Maya, the time, where, how long, if that, quote, transport staff, end quote, stayed, and the time returning to the patient's assigned room, or is it normal not to document the patient's whereabouts?
So it's kind of, for the kids, always the bedside nurse knew where they are, where they were going. If they were going down to the activity center, or say that they were going down, they were there with a visit and with their parent, they might be going downstairs. So, but the bedside nurse always knew where that child was.
While Maya and her attorney were in the room talking attorney-client protections, were you located anywhere in proximity, even anywhere in the hall to Maya's room, or were you behind the nurse's station counter?
I was behind the nurse's station. If you're talking about Mr. Zimmerman, I was behind the nurse's station.
In the series of before and after photos we have seen again today, I'd like to confirm, after you seeing them freshly today, in the befores, you do not recall the person that assisted you.
I know it was the bedside nurse, but I didn't know her name.
In the after photos, you do not recall the person that assisted you.
I don't. I know it was the bedside nurse, but I don't know her name.
As opposed to you recall the name of the patient you were photographing.
Yes, I do.
You testified much of what you did was at the direction of risk management of Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. During that time, do you know who was on what risk management advisory board or team?
So risk management was a department, and it's whoever was there. I spoke frequently with Patty. I also spoke with some of the other risk management people during that time too.
or else do you have any follow-up?
You're asked if you knew the name of the child you were photographing. Who were you photographing?
Maya Kowalski.
With respect to taking photographs, is this the issue you've had where somebody's been sheltered by DCF?
No.
Is it unusual to take photographs of DCF sheltered children?
Objection. Very nice. No, rule that one.
So we don't do it often. Sometimes it's something that we need to document. Go ahead and do it and get it to the CPI or to DCF people.
Thank you.
That documentation is in the emergency room, is it not?
Objection made.
That's sustained. The documentation of photographs with other children. Did you say that it happens with other children?
Yes, it can happen with other children.
Those are in instances where somebody has a cigarette burn on them, or a broken arm, or a cut, or something like that. True?
I can't tell you what the circumstances would be. There's many circumstances.
It's not for a situation like this where there are none of those, is it?
That's not entirely true, no.
All right. Who gave you the verbal consent?
It would have been DCF, Charlotte Laporte.
Okay. Well, did you comply with all of DCF's policies of what you have to do before you take the photos?
I think that was an interesting question. What y'all think, real deal? I think that's a good question. But they say that this lady right here, this social worker right here, she have a problem with her attitude, with her behavior. She don't get along with everybody else at the hospital. Ooh, the judge got a haircut, y'all. He looked real nice. He got a haircut.
Did you comply with Johns Hopkins policies?
I have to look at them all the way.
Yeah, we're going to hope. Your Honor, it's evidence made public. 2277-281A. I'll direct your attention towards the bottom there of the paragraph where there is a 1, a 2, and a 3. See those? First, you agree to the Johns Hopkins requirement.
I see that it's Johns Hopkins policy.
All right. Then take a look at 1, 2, and 3. Did you attempt to contact the parents? That's the first question is, did you attempt to contact the parents?
I did not.
They weren't supposed to. She not in under their care.
Did you make any further attempts, or at least document it in the record, that you tried to get a hold of the parents?
I didn't attempt to call the parents.
And did you comply with number 3, the actual contact with the parent's legal guardian, advising the parent's legal guardian of consent and treatment authorized by DCF?
I did contact DCF, who was the legal guardian at the time for the child, yes.
No. There was a guardian ad litem appointed, was there not?
Guardian ad litem doesn't have consent.
Did you document anywhere in the file, if the jury was to look, that you tried to contact the GAL?
I wouldn't have contacted the GAL. The GAL is not the guardian.
And in the records, would you agree there is no analysis of these photos from a medical standpoint?
I don't know that.
So you knew going in that you were, what reason was it then?
Dr. Danielson asked us to document the receiving condition.
And you would do that no matter whether it was allowed or not? True.
So we did this, or I did this because this was asked of us by Dr. Danielson and it had a good reason for it. If it was not a good reason, I certainly would have been discussing it with his medical team.
Dr. Danielson is not with DCF, is she?
No, she's not.
Charlotte Laporte, did you attempt to get authorization from Charlotte Laporte?
I did get authorization to talk with Charlotte to report that day.
You say you did. So you testified in this courtroom that you did not. Would she be incorrect?
I don't know. I was talking to her that day. They were doing their pictures in Sarasota.
So
And so I explained to her that we were doing photos here at the hospital.
again, I just need to know if she says in court that you did not seek any permission from her. Is she wrong?
I can't. I don't know what she said, what she didn't say.
The reason for the cracked door policy involving attorneys is to make sure that if the child falls, that you can yell, that the child can yell and you can hear them. True?
Correct.
Do you really think her attorney would help her if she did?
I can't see what's happening.
Well, would you agree with me there was a person in there?
Yes.
A person who had ethical duties to her, in fact, as an attorney.
Those aren't the same as medical.
Okay. Well, if she were to have a fall, wouldn't there be somebody right there next to her to help?
I can't speak to that. We left the door open. That was part of the policy when you had a risk for a fall. Left the door open.
I thought you said there was a lot of discretion in how to follow these.
There are some child argument. Sometimes that makes some discretion, and this is a big one. She fell and hit her head, or fell and broke something.
If she fell and hit her head or fell and broke something, don't you think her lawyer would come out and let you know?
I can only speak to you that we left the door open.
You left the door open not to protect Maya, but so you could hear what was going on in there, didn't you?
Absolutely not, because we can't hear from the nurse's station. There are so many beeps and buzzers, phones going off. We can't hear from the nurse's station until patients around.
As to the Nurses Association rules of ethics, whether they are, what did you call them, guidelines or not, you violated them, did you not?
Objection, argument, speaks and guidelines and terms. The work that
Regardless of how you designate them, you violated those guidelines, did you not?
No, I did not. I provided comfort to a child who was extremely upset, who was extremely emotional, and who asked for comfort.
Without upset that you had to put her on your lap. This had to be going on for a considerable period of time, didn't it?
It happened pretty quickly because once I said to her that she wasn't going to be able to go home for Christmas, tears came. She was very upset.
My point being that she couldn't get that upset if it was quick, and if it was long, you could call the parents.
So it's reasonable to provide comfort to a child. That's what I did.
On direct examination, you testified that you could tell between the two photographs which bra Maya had on at the time, the training bra or the other bra, correct? You can remember that, but you have no memory of who helped you.
So that was a long time ago, and I don't remember who my nurses were every day, who helped.
Yes, I know, but the point is, how could you remember all the things you were examination?
So I know how she changed clothes to go to court, and I knew that she could, when she came back, she had on different clothes. And I don't remember the rest of her names. I'm sorry.
So, if we're correct, and if the jury were to conclude, say, that this was brutal to do what was happening with these photos, you did it to her twice.
I can't tell you what the jury is going to find or not find. I certainly didn't do anything to try to be brutal. If anything, we tried very hard to be very professional with Maya. I left the room once we were done so that she could change and get ready to go. And once she was done with the nighttime pictures, she and the nurse, I left the room again for her to change for Maya.
And why wasn't there a timestamp on any of these photos?
I don't really understand that question.
You know what a timestamp is?
Yeah.
It's in the bottom corner of
Oh,
the photographs.
yeah, I can't speak to that. I use the camera that they told me.
If the jury were to go search for those photographs in the medical record, they would not find them, would they?
I don't think so.
Nor would they find any consent in medical records that you called anyone on behalf of the parents. True.
She didn't have to call the parent.
As for the medical records. And would you agree with me in the photo showing Maya's face that she did not look happy at all, did she?
She did not look happy.
She was not happy. Why did you not stop and call the parents? You said you got verbal consent. From whom did you get verbal consent?
Mm-mm. I don't really know how this case gonna turn out, yeah. With this 220 million lawsuit against the hospital. But the question the question that he's asking her, that the parents didn't have custody of Maya, the hospital did. We don't have that long to go, y'all. But I got to play catch up, so I'm working on something else. Mm-mm. How y'all doing, real deal? I miss y'all. Y'all let me down when Henry Dinkins' case ended. They getting ready to ask her questions um, that the jury might need to hear. The jury sitting in there, so the question they about to ask her, the social worker, she got to answer That's the question, very important, that needs to be asked. I'll skip it.
I'd have to look at my notes.
Did you document your verbal consent with DCF and have another witness on the phone to witness your verbal consent?
I'd have to look at my notes. I don't think I had anyone else with me.
And next question, will that be documented in the medical records for you to review?
I'd have to look at my notes.
Does the hospital use a log where the children are off the floor to keep track of where the children are when they're obligated and when they return?
Not that I'm aware of.
They should.
Are you testifying you do not know if you documented the photographs of the chart that the bedside nurse would be documented?
So bedside nurses write a note for every day that they're there with the kids, so that name would be documented in the chart, yes.
Is that where we should look for documentation in the chart?
Yes.
Do you know what Maya changed into to wear to court?
I don't.
The person seen holding Maya's hands in the quote before in quote photos has on all black clothing. Would that be the bedside nurse?
Yes.
Wow.
Did someone else
Hold up, y'all.
hold her down?
Guess what? The bedside nurse said that it wasn't her. She lied under oath, not her, but the other girl.
No, nobody held her down.
Would that be documented?
I don't know that it would be documented because nobody needed to hold her down.
What role did Dr. Danielson have in Maya's care?
Dr. Danielson was the attending for the week, so that would be her part in the care.
What kind of device were the pictures taken on?
So this was a long time ago. I think it was on a digital camera.
Will the original file images, including encoded properties, be provided for inspection?
I don't know that.
Would there be an entry placed in writing or typed in the patient's log, similar to when a patient is transported to physical therapy or an X-ray? I'm gonna have to ask a little bit. Your answer to my question was about the chapel visit. Quote, the bedside nurse always knows where the patient is. That is a response. Would there be an entry placed in writing or typed in the patient's log, similar to when a patient is transported to physical therapy or an X-ray?
I don't know what the bedside nurse would log.
In reference to the before and after photos of Maya, you were testifying that those photos were taken with a hospital official camera. Is that correct?
Yes.
And no personal cameras or photos were used. Is that correct?
Yes. No personal cameras were ever used for any of our kids.
This parallel anything further based on the jurors' questions. Mr. Anderson.
You testified a lot about consent, but you did not comply with the policy except through Charlotte Laporte, correct? That's pretty good.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Is Dr. Danielson on the risk committee?
I don't know that.
All right. Afterwards, did you document all of the things you testified to in the record?
I don't know what you're asking.
Your recollection to see how you documented what you did with Maya
Yeah.
in an email, it should be a memo you sent. Yeah. Some evidence. It's 100294, and the second page is 95. No, that's not it. It's 194195. There you go. Let's bring the second one up. Take a look at these now. And first tell me, was this your documentation of what you did after you did it? Where in here does it explain anything of what you said you did?
That it's right there.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, you don't say in here that you obtained consent from risk management, does it?
I'm not sure what consent from risk management.
Does it say that you got any consent from anyone?
She told what she did.
I'd have to look at my emails from that day too.
Did you bring those emails? Would you agree with me that if you had done all the things you said you did, it would appear in here more likely than anywhere?
I can't say that I would.
Well, then why did you do it?
I don't understand your question, Mr. Anderson. Let's use so many pronouns.
Yes, sir. Then who took this information? This is as to 1002-1094. I'm just talking about the whole thing.
Why don't you be more specific with your question?
Yeah.
In this exhibit 1002-0194, in the middle it says actions taken or intervention completed. Do you see that?
That wasn't my note.
I see. And so where would the person putting this down get this information? If not you, who else could give this information? The entire thing.
Now I understand what he's saying, y'all. He's saying when she put her information on that paper, on that paperwork, who else went behind her and filled the paperwork out in that area? Because it's on there. So who else went behind her and put the other information on it? That's all he asking her. It's not a big deal. Answer the question.
It says here that Maya reports she would like to pray. You see that?
The note that's up on mine is my note, and I don't see that.
It's in the middle right there. It says
Hold up, let me see. Yeah, she put that on there. That's the information she put on there. There you go, right there in yellow. She was left in a room on and been in at this hip. There you go, right there. So you said that.
That was not testified to in direct examination, was it?
Something going on.
So the record you just looked at, 0995, established that you took the pictures before she left. Uncle Scott was taking her, and you took the pictures when she came back.
Anything further, Mr. H? I don't think so, Your Honor. Are we sure anything else? Looks like I've got at least one more question.
I like how he's doing his jury since this a $220 million lawsuit. Is he the question that he'll get a jury the opportunity to ask him questions in the court that they need to ask the person who takes the stand. I like this judge right here. I like him.
Should the documentation of obtaining consent be part of a medical record for any procedure done on a patient?
Can be, and there, and yes, it can be part of the medical record.
It's,
When we get consent, we would have put it in the chart. It's a different form. It might be in another part of the chart.
I don't know what you said.
Anything else? Anything else?
Oh, I know, it would be consents. There's always a consents tab within the chart.
Anything further?
All right, y'all. Wait, let me make sure the jury's finished.
Members of the check-in, this is probably a good time to break for lunch.
All right, y'all. That's it. We all caught up with this particular segment. Take care, Maya. We caught up with that. So, woo, that was awesome. But y'all tell me what y'all think. I think that all of her, before I leave, I think that all her medical information that they did on that client, on that patient, should go on a chart. Period. On that patient chart. Period. Y'all like, share, and subscribe, and have a good morning, noon, night, evening, wherever you from. I'm out of here.